for the very good desired subject of every rubber manufacturer seeks, that whatever the problem they are facing in the
Vani sir, your mic is mute.
Yeah. I welcome all of you. I am Prashant Vani, Western Region Chairman of the All India Rubber Industries Association. And today I want to present Mr. Kamre Hossain on behalf of Inmar on the beautiful subject troubleshooting in the EPDM, which is a normal problem for everyone. Every rubber manufacturer face EPDM as a tricky compound. And for this, we have a Kamre Hossain, as he is a graduate in chemistry and a MTech degree with the Polymer Science and Technology from the University of Calcutta, which is Pioneer Institute of Rubber and Polymer Technology Research Education. I request all the participants to mute themselves, except the speaker. All are requested to mute themselves so that the clarity will be there and we can enjoy the session. He has been working more than 26 years with the rubber technology in various sectors of the industry, production, R&D, customer supports, and sales. He is presently working as a business head, elastomer managing synthetic rubbers and TPV for India and Indian subcontinent. So he will be presenting. The today's subject is present challenges in EPDM and troubleshooting measures. Sir, I welcome you on behalf of all of us, and kindly I hand over you for the session.
Thank you, Mr. Vani, for the nice introduction, and thank you all in the governing body of All India Rubber Industries Association for allowing me and giving me the opportunity to present a small training session on EPDM and its trouble measure. And last but not least, thank all my lovable audience. Today, I am going to present on the EPDM rubbers, some of its basics, properties, some troubleshooting measures, and what is the global capacity, what is the present challenges in supply and demand, and I'll discuss little about of some new development of EPDMs, and then switch to the sustainable alternative. This is the EPDM structure. If you see, EPDM rubber consists of ethylene, propylene, and diene. If you still ask most of the people in the industry, they say, EPDM means ethylene, M means methylene. It is not like that. The M stands for a saturated rubber. M does not signify any of the constituents of the EPDM rubber. Any saturated rubber, we say M class. Basically, EPDM rubber consists of ethylene, propylene, and diene. The percentage of ethylene varies from 45 to 80%, although presently it has been changed. Propylene, it is giving the rubber properties, whatever the rubber nature we are getting from the propylene, and the diene is the added to get the curative system. If you see, there are two platforms to make the EPDM rubber globally. One is the metallocene platform, Another is the conventional Ziegler-Natta platform. So here, if you see this, if you go from the Ziegler-Natta catalyst, we can get the Muni viscosity ranges from 20 to 200. Once we go for the higher Muni, then we go for the oil extended grades. In the ethylene, in the Ziegler-Natta catalyst system, we have a capability to produce ethylene content of EPDM 50 to 80%, and diene is 11% maximum. But currently, most of the new plants are coming with the metallocene capacity. The metallocene is the newer version of the solution polymerization catalyst, and it has a very faster productivity rate. So the product price should be cheaper compared to the Ziegler-Natta catalyst system. So most of the new plants all are coming in the metallocene. Metallocene, we get a broader range of Muni. In the lower segment, the Muni can start from the 5, but again, we cannot exceed Muni beyond 90. So if you see all the metallocene who produce the metallocene grades, and if you see their grades of EPDM, you will find maximum Muni 90. In metallocene, we get the added advantage to reduce the ethylene content to 10%. So very low ethylene, low Muni grades you can make out of metallocene catalyst system. And in metallocene, we can make maximum diene capability 7%. So see, any plant which is producing metallocene, and if any customer is using for a grade like for the sponge category or some fast curing grades, they are using some 10% or 11% EPDM diene content. So if the supplier is the metallocene, then 7% maximum you can get, but these are all capable to fulfill that properties. That's how the whole system has been designed. So in nutshell, if I discuss in the globally EPDM manufactured by solution polymerization technology, except few players, they make in the slurry technology. One is the Versalis and one is the Erlangso. They have one plant for the slurry system. Erlangso has also the plant for S technology. All the others EPDM produced globally using Ziegler-Natta. Currently, if you take the EPDM available in the market, so out of that, most is the currently if you go to the EPDM in the market, so 2/3 is the Ziegler-Natta still available in the capacity wise, and 1/3 is the metallocene. And again repeating, all new plants is coming in the metallocene platform. I'm not able to change my screen. Hello?
I can't see the screen. I can't see any slides.
You can't see the screen?
Are there any slides being shown?
Yeah. I slide one slide I shared, but from my side I cannot change.
I don't know. I'm trying to see the slides, but I can't see any slide. Okay. But at least carry on. I can hear you. Please carry on.
चेंज नहीं क्यों हो रहा है? Okay. Now you can see the slides.
Yeah. It's now coming. Second slide is coming.
So sorry. Again, I'll repeat. So my mistake. Vaibhav, tu idhar baith. Yeah, sorry. So sorry. So let me start from the first again. Sorry, my apology. So here I am showing about the EPDM structure and types of the EPDM. If you see the EPDM structure, EPDM is consist of ethylene, propylene, and diene. M stands for the saturation M class rubber. So M does not means polymethylene or methylene. Okay. And there are two platforms for making EPDM rubber. One is Ziegler-Natta catalyst system, another is metallocene capability. Mostly in the world, EPDM manufactured using solution polymerization technology. Only Versalis are making EPDM through slurry mechanism technology, and Allangso has one plant for the slurry technology. Allangso also uses their own innovation technology that is called S. Rest all the plants in the world, they are either using Ziegler-Natta and metallocene. If you see, Ziegler-Natta is the old technology. Here the productivity of the EPDM is low. Metallocene is the very first technology. Here the conversion till 100% you can get out of the reaction. In Ziegler-Natta, maximum one can get 80% of their conversion. So all the new plants is coming with the metallocene capability. Each technology has their own advantage and disadvantage. Ziegler-Natta technology, we can produce EPDM starting from the Muni 20 to 200 and dyne maximum 11%. Whereas in metallocene technology, we can go Muni as low as 5, but maximum achievable Muni is 90 milliunit and dyne is maximum 7%. Whereas in metallocene also we have the advantage to produce low ethylene as low as 10% ethylene content. So if somebody is looking for a grade like lot of flexibility, flexibility comes from this propylene P segment. So 90% P of EPDM can be only produced through metallocene technology. Currently, whatever EPDM is available in the world, 2/3 is Ziegler-Natta catalyst system and approximately 1/3 of metallocene. Again repeating, all the new plants is coming with metallocene technology. So future will be, there is a constraint of the Ziegler-Natta catalyst EPDM system and people are migrating from JN to the metallocene catalyst. These are the some of the effects of the EPDM. If we increase the molecular weight, here I have classified into two columns. One is vulcanized and another is processing. Vulcanized means if you cure it, how the product is going to behave. Processing, what are the, during the, before curing, to mixing or in the extrusion or in the molding. So these are the all advantage and disadvantages are there. So if you increase the molecular weight, you will get the higher tensile, better tear, increasing ethylene content, high tensile, high hardness, improve peroxide cure, but lower the elasticity, poor low temperature set, narrow the molecular weight, increase cure rate, improve vulcanization properties, increasing dyne content, faster cure rate, improve modulus, so and so. And again, once again repeating, the effects of everything impacts on vulcanizing properties. Another is processing. Processing means starts from the mixing to the pre-shaping. So processing, you will get somewhere grain strength better in the molecular weight when you increase, collapse resistance better, but sometimes you will get the poor dispersion, slower extrusion, poor calendaring, and similarly these are all the properties I have tabulated here. Here is the, I am going to discuss the Muni viscosity measurements. I am not going to discuss about the Muni viscosity of the compound. I am going to discuss of the Muni viscosity of the EPDM polymer. Since when lot of now new granular EPDM has come to the market, and my experiences, so lot of customer is telling, sir, I am not getting the proper Muni, whatever you have given in the certificate of analysis. So important criteria is that you must on the mill at 150 degrees centigrade. That is very, very important since EPDM needs higher temperature. Second is the uniform film. Third, please ensure there will be no entrapment of process yet such that oil is coming from the mill or some wax C substance are present in the mill. And I can ensure absolutely you will get whatever. If you follow these standards and if you check the MUNI of the polymer, you will simply get the Xerox copy of your certificate of analysis at your laboratory. But I am going to more focus on MLRA. This is the one of the important factor for MUNI relaxation. It's basically indicator of the molecular weight distribution of EPDM. Let me to explain it like this. Say two polymers having the same MUNI. Polymer A has the MUNI viscosity, we are getting 70. Polymer B also we are getting 70. Now out of that, which polymer shall I select for my industry? So this MLRA is the test. It gives you the percentage of elasticity and viscosity in the molecule. And it is basically a log versus log plot of A MUNI versus time. And here you will get the area under curve. I'll tell you, this test is done once your MUNI viscosity is finished here. After 5 seconds, you stop your rotor of the MUNI viscometer, and then this is provision to be there in your MUNI viscometer instrument. And once you stop the rotor, then you start them to flow on stress basis, and you plot log MUNI versus log time. You'll get a graph like this, where you'll get a certain area, and the area under graph is very important. So this you can ask all your supplier to provide MLRA. I can only give you the indication. Any MLRA higher than 350 or 400 is very good in terms of processing. Lot of producers, they don't share the MLRA. Those who do lot of rework in their polymer system, they don't share their MLRA. But it is your right. If any producer is giving MUNI, they have the provision to give MLRA. Any questions is there, please let me know. I can discuss one by one. This is the typical EPDM compounding. EPDM rubber, we take 100 parts, carbon blacks, variable PHR, plasticizing oil, diluting fillers, mainly calcium carbonate, clay, and cure systems. And there are two types of cure systems we use in the EPDM. One is sulfur and another is peroxide. Mixing sequence of the granule EPDM. Since nowadays you will find lot of the EPDMs are come in the granule form. So mixing is a very key important to get the properties for the granular EPDM. Earlier, when EPDM is coming in the bale form, people doesn't have any mixing problems, and they used to mix like other synthetic rubbers. But for granular EPDM, we recommend for the dry mixing. Means you have to mix the polymer and half of the carbon black at the 0 time you take and mix for 3 minutes. So this is the dry mixing. Here what happens, the rubber and the filler, that surface adsorption interaction taken place, and it improves lot of lot of physical properties. See, I can tell you, you will get the enhancement of the properties about 15 to 20% if you follow this cycle. And after 3 minutes, you add 1/4 of carbon and half oil, and after 6 minutes, again balance carbon, balance oil, and all the fillers, and sweep it and dump it. The recommended dump temperature for EPDM is 125 to 140 degrees. Fill factor is one of the important factors for the mixing. Lot of noise is coming. Lot of noise. I think somebody, can you please?
All are requested to convert themselves on a mute mode, please.
Yeah. So fill fact. Now it's okay.
Yes, it's fine now.
Sir, please repeat the previous slide for a second.
Again, I lose control. Again, I cannot change from my side. I lose control. Please give me the admin.
Sir, the previous slide, please, for a few moments.
Yeah, I'm not able to change.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, Mr. Dev. So any questions on this slide?
So I wanted the solubility limits basically for different accelerators. I think some of them are available this way.
Excuse me. I think that we should finish up this presentation and you can do question answers later on.
So please continue, no issues.
So you're on mute. We cannot hear you.
Yeah. So it depends. The fill factor of the mixing of any synthetic rubber is important in case of kneader. It depends on the gap between the rotor tip and mixing chamber. So if your kneader rotor is old, so please take care of the loading. And generally, higher the hardness, you have to fill more. If the lower the hardness, you have to fill more. And if the high the hardness, then you have to fill factor is less. Again, mixing time depends. There is no standard mixing time for the kneader mixing. It depends on the hardness of the compound. For high hardness, usually 9 to 12 minutes. But for the low hardness, we recommend to mix So these are the some choices of fillers. It's very important. If you see these, lot of these are the major fillers that we recommend for using the EPDM, and each filler has interchangeable. Means if you see, if you take one parts of PHR of Fe550, then if you want to replace with empty black, then you have to replace with 2.3 PHR. So I think this chart is fair enough. And for 100 parts of the 550 or 650, we recommend 110 PHR of the oil. And similarly for HRF grade, we recommend 70 PHR, and for empty black, we recommend 30 PHR. So important factor for the design of a compound is carbon black versus oil ratio. That is the very, very important factor that I'll discuss in details later on. This is the selection of plasticizers. In EPDM, globally, people use the naphthenic type of oil. Most of the customers I have seen in the Turkey and other countries. But in India, we recommend people, sometimes old people are still using, old people means I'm not talking about the age, the old traditional customers still using naphthenic oil. But if you go for the high heat resistance and peroxide cure, then paraffinic oil is recommended. And again, in the paraffinic oil, there is a low volatility. And if you go for the high temperature range, then we recommend high viscosity paraffinic oil. And for the higher service temperature, we recommend polymeric plasticizer. Polymeric plasticizer is the ester type, like of the sebacic acid or soybean oil. So here I'll discuss a little bit on the cure packs. In the EPDM, we recommend conventional, semi-EV, and efficient vulcanization. The dose of carbon black is very important. Sorry, the dose of the sulfur is very important. In the conventional, the sulfur 1.5 to 2.0, whereas in the semi-EV 0.5 to 1, and in the EV system maximum 0.5 PHR of sulfur. Others are the accelerators. We discussed there are two types of accelerators are there. One is the primary accelerator like thiogels or sulfonamides, and we have the secondary type of accelerator like thiocarbonates, dithiocarbanates, guanidine, thioureas. So these are the all secondary accelerators. And mostly in industry, people use the mix of both primary and secondary accelerator. Here, one thing only I wanted to tell you that donors, when we are talking of the sulfur donor curatives, then DT, DM or DPTT or TMTD we recommend. For the high temperature resistance of the product, which is continuous use more than 150 degrees centigrade or more, we recommend the peroxide cure. And peroxide needs also some co-agent, either TAC or TAIC or TMPTA or HVA, depends on your system. Peroxide cure is the most of the industry, when they first try for the peroxide cure, they found that the cure is not proper, but actually curing took place. But the culprit for the peroxide is the oxygen. So we have to eliminate the aerial oxygen or the oxygen present in the moisture. Practically 100% exclusion of oxygen from air or moisture from the system is not possible, except you have to cure into the salt bath method. So we recommend with peroxide, please use some sulfur donor like DTDM or MBTS, some 1 to 2 PHR. It will give you a lot of liberty to process your compound with peroxide cure in your system. Only culprit is here, don't use HbA2 type of co-agent like polymelaimide or citronamides. They are not recommended to use as a co-agent for peroxide system. What happens, I found in industry, lot of people, when they use the peroxide like dicap or some Parcadox 1440, and same time from where they get this peroxide, immediately their supplier, they try to push HbA2. So, and I found so they are giving the complaint, my compound is not cured properly, or I am not getting the desired properties. So please remember, avoiding oxygen from the system is very, very difficult and very challenging. If you wrap the compound itself, say you wanted to make some product made up of the molding. So you make the sheet, wrapping in the plastic sheet. Once you open it, again it is coming in touch of the air, again in contact with some moisture. So there is a chance of the oxygen entrapment in the system. So there you please try to avoid HbA2 type of coagent. All other coagents will give you the very good peroxide system if you use some sort of DTDM or MBTS in the 1 to 2 PHR level. This is the very important, fantastic how to design the EPDM compound. If you see that left side indicating Mooney, this is basically a 3D graph. Here the plot versus Mooney along with the feeder loading, black versus oil ratio, and hardness. So 3 parameters we are plotting together. So this is like a 3D graph. Yes. So here the Mooney, if you see the base polymer Mooney is about around here, it is going to merge here only. Na? So it will be close to 40, 43 or 44. And if you see, if our black by oil ratio means our carbon black is 80 and we take the oil like 0.8%, then our hardness should be around 15 degree, 15 SORE. So if these graphs we plot, at one point they are going to merge. Now, to get a desired properties, like I wanted to develop a compound which has having 70 hardness. So I draw a parallel line to the horizontal surface, and then I draw a parallel line to the vertical axis. So one is horizontal in x-axis and other is y-axis. And the point which meets at the y from the right side of your axis, that gives you the hardness. And similarly, this point where it cuts the second that Mooney line, that gives you the desired Mooney property. See, currently, I'll discuss about some capacity versus demand. Present capacity of the EPDM is about 1500 kiloton per year. And out of that, China has a capacity of 350 kiloton. As I said, most of the plants are having Ziegler-Natta catalyst, so capacity utilization is quite low, 70 to 80% currently, and optimum we can reach 85% maximum. That is not optimum, sorry. Maximum we can reach 85%. If you see in the right side, I have given in a table, if you compare with 2016 versus 2021, so some of the plants has been closed and some of the new plants has been added in the capacity. So if you see, compare 2021 with respect to 16, more capacity has been added globally. Okay. In the demand side, if you see, the current demand is 1250 kiloton per year. And in 2020, due to the COVID, there is a sharp decline of volume of 15% for the all EPDM global producers. And out of that, Asia Pacific region is the highest. They have a 44% supply, 44% of supply and 40% of supply and 44% of demand, US with 38% of supply and 29% of demand, and Europe and the Middle East, their supply and demand is 22 and 28% respectively. If you see in end of 2020, there is a shortage of the EPDM in the market. And this has been due to overtly optimistic expectation has put this sector in a very difficult position. These are some of the challenges. As I said, Asia Pacific accounted for the largest share of the EPDM market in 2020, followed by North America and Europe. The market has been drifted from the earlier it was US and then it was Europe. Third was Asia Pacific. Now the whole cycle has been changed. It has been reversed. The reason for the high growth from China, India, Japan, South Korea, and other South Asian countries is the growth for the EPDM market. China is the largest importer of the EPDM rubber in the world. Although China has a 350 KT global capacity, still they import quite a lot of volume. New energy vehicles such as electric vehicles and hybrid vehicles is growing progressively, and the growth of EV will further improve the market of EPDM. In the EV or hybrid vehicles, mostly EPDM consumption is going to be increased, since all the electrical insulations properties or seals for the battery and others, the consumption per car will be going to be increased. There is a significant growth in the lubricant additive and plastic modification like TPO and TPV. If you see, the global oil consumption is increasing day by day rather in minutes by minutes. So more oil to be produced, so more additive needs for the oil modification, so more consumption of EPDM. Other factor is more TPO, more TPV, so the raw material is coming from the EPDM only. That's how there is a shortage or seems to be a shortage in the long term for EPDM rubber. So the latest developments in EPDM and EPR is dry high mono, high ethylene EPDM with medium dyeing content and very high filler loading. Dry ultra high mono viscosity EPDM with high dyeing content for efficient cure and continuous vulcanization. Dense increased filler loading for 500 pH or more, while potentially meeting typical OEM specification. Micro dense, reduce weight by decreasing profile density while still meeting the main automotive specification. Heat resistance EPR with moderate mono and ethylene and sustainability drive. So I'll discuss few of the cases in the later slide. So this is the high field dense profile. If you see the left side, I have shown this is the one EPDM, and you can load as more as 643 PHR. This EPDM has a mono viscosity, polymer mono viscosity 90 at ml1 plus 4 at 125 degrees centigrade, ethylene content 71, ENB 5.5, and molecular weight distribution medium. This similar type of plenty of EPDM are available in the market. So to overcome the challenges of the challenges of the supply side, you can increase your filler loading and you can get quite a rateable quantity for physical property. If you see in the last line here, if you reduce, so this is the maximum you can load here and you can get all these properties. You can make a combination. See, instead of loading 250 PHR, you can load from carbon black 160 to 220 PHR. And similarly, you have to adjust the oil from 90 to 130 PHR. And calcium carbonate, mineral filler from 40 to 120 PHR. Then your EPDM compound will be depicting the formulations which can suffice to meet all the current OEM standards. Another way to reduce the cost of the EPDM is the microdense profile. Particularly in Europe and in some of the OEMs, this concept is very popular nowadays. Whatever they do, instead of, sorry, I'll discuss, I missed one slide. So first I'll discuss that one, highly filled dense profile. See here, I have taken EPDM B. The property of EPDM B is Muni 135 degree at 1+8 at 125 degrees centigrade. Ethylene is 57.5, ENB is 9, and it's a bimodal grade. And here we have considered a loading of 180 PHR carbon black and 80 PHR calcium carbonate. So total PHR becomes 500. Even that this EPDM, it passed the Volkswagen specification TL52704. I'm not doubting about the capability of our industry. I know we are all capable people. Still, I know people in India, they struggled with 300 PHR level and try to pass this specification TL52704. They say, no, it's very difficult. They are asking this, blah, blah, blah. But this is very popular in the Europe, particularly. So I have worked with them. That's why sharing with. Next is the microdense, same EPDM polymer B, EPDM B, whatever I have shown in the here, same polymer I have taken here. And here the technology is that you take a normal dense profile recipe, add 0.6 PHR of halogen OT and or OBSH, like a blowing agent. What will happen? You will get micro sponge in your dense profile. So it will reduce the weight per meter. And this compound, see, this compound has a PHR level of 327. And my last compound, I have shown the PHR level of 500 PHR. But this compound is still 6% cheaper than the first compound. And again, all these properties.
ते FFM चे वरून कुठे बायटॉनचे परत गाडा होता ते कस्टमर आले होते रॉड तुमचे हा
Request everyone to switch off their mic.
Yeah, thank you. So here again, the properties are shown here. These are all been sufficed to pass the OEM standards. And again, most of the Europe, they follow the Volkswagen standard. See, now I'll talk about the sustainability drive. When I'm showing this slide, I think a lot of questions is come to your mind. See, I am a rubber technologist. I have done my BTech, MTech rubber. I live with rubber, I'll die with rubber. Very honest with you. But again, the world is changing. In one way, we took the place, we wanted to reduce the global temperature of Earth less than 2 degrees centigrade compared to the pre-industrial era. Rather, our target has been fixed in the last meeting at the Paris Accord. They have taken the stricter target of 1.5 degrees centigrade. They will allow to increase the Earth temperature compared to pre-industrial era. We have taken the pledge to reduce the 40% of our emission, means reduce the carbon footprint. So all are talking about the green recyclable product. So any thermosets is not recyclable. So the sustainability drive, what I feel we should work on something which can be sustainable which can be renewable, which can be green, and which produce the less carbon footprint in the world. And this drive from the auto sector will be done by them only. See, can give you example. 2 years before, Toyota came to us and they asked to supply their rubber company.
हाथ दूर रखिएगा आगे बस ला प्लास्टिक में हाथ पकड़ गए स्विच बंद रख दे
Toyota came to us and they asked their please Toyota came to us and they asked their customer to contact and so to introduce the TPV for the segment, and we have successfully introduced. So these global players, they are all working and they are slowly shifting from the thermoset to the thermoplastic elastomers. What is our goal or our thrust? Our thrust is to increase the pie of this type of application into the market. So this is some of the properties I'll show you of the TPV. Here the TPV, I have taken Santoprene TPV, which has been proven from the last 40 years. We sell Santoprene like 40-10-10 theory. Means 40 years proven, all specifications, most of the grades are approved by all global OEMs. 10 years shelf life. Shelf life means raw material shelf life. So today, if you buy 2031, you can use that material from your plant. Still, you can keep 10 years, and this is the only few materials in the world which is having so high shelf life. And third is it's 10 times recyclable. 10 times, when I am talking about the recyclable, till 10th recyclable times, you will get 99.9% of its original property. So property retention of a say Santoprene grades is 100 of tensile. Say after 10 times recyclable, you will get their property as 99 MPa. So this is the benefits of this, and its properties all are rubber and it is processed like a plastic. These are the advantages of the Santoprene. If you see in the left side, here a lot of steps are involved and generate waste. And every cases in the mixing, in shaping, everywhere we are generate waste. This waste is basically again, waste of our ecology in the system. And the right side, if you see, there is practically no waste. You can reduce the weight by 25 to 40% when you convert from the TSR, synthetic rubber, to the TPV. The cycle time of the TPV is 1 to 3 minutes compared to minimum 45 to 90 minutes in case of rubber article. You can eliminate labor. Only one person is enough to handle your shop floor, starting from the product filling to your machine to the end level. No zero scrap, flash free products. You can have a shelf life of 10 years. The product is better resistance ozone, better chemical resistance and oil resistance compared to the EPDM rubber. It can be used for the wide temperature range, -60 to 135 degrees. So it is better than EPDM. Smell-free products. If you supply any rubber components and they keep in their warehouse, after that, if they are open the warehouse, they will get the rubber smell. But in Santoprene, no. And no stress marks in the final products. If you bend the rubber products after maybe 15 days, if you open it, you'll find some stress mark. But in case of Santoprene, there is none of them. So all advantages are there. Here some of the products we have made, converted the rubber application out of Santoprene. I am showing here the first one. This is the tubing for fluid flow. The second one is the cable connector. This is for transmission line. Third one is the, the transformer cable and cover. It is mainly goes for the airports and all the projects. Fourth one is the diaphragm for the all booster pumps. And this is very common products for you. This is the dust cover. Lot of small, medium and large type of dust cover people use. Lot of synthetic rubber here. This is the CNG hose, fire hose. Earlier people use the synthetic rubber. Now it has converted to the Santoprene. This is a lot of grommets, any type of things. This is SWR ring. So this is all I wanted to share with you. I know a lot of questions may arise, so I have some whatever knowledge I can answer you. Otherwise, this forum has a lot of expertise. They can answer you, or later on we'll address the proper manner. Thank you all for the patience and listening.
Mr. Kamble, thank you for the presentation. And my name is Farooq. I have one question. After the product is finished, there is sometimes we found some rainbow effect on the surface, on the sheet. What could be the possible?
That probably is a blooming. It's a type of bleed. Oil is bleeding probably.
Okay. So what could be the possible cure for that if the oil is bleeding to the surface?
If you can increase your PEG level. Polyethylene glycol is very good. Even that in some cases sulfur is blooms. We recommend first case increase polyethylene glycol 2000 to 4000 molecular weight at 2 to 3 pHr. If your compound is more loaded, you need more pHr. If your compound is less loaded, you need less pHr.
Okay.
If that doesn't work, add some TDQ or TMQ, maximum 1 pHr. Since TDQ or TMQ, this is the normal antioxidant, they prevent these type of chemicals to come out of the surface. They make a complex and they bind it inside the surface. And third one, if still problem is there, you go for the insoluble sulfur, which is costly.
Insoluble sulfur. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you.
Sir, am I audible?
Yes, Deman.
Sir, we have three questions. First is in type B, you have mentioned calcium oxide dosage is as good as 7 pHr. In normal formulation, it is 1 to 3 pHr. So why so high dose? Second question was compared with TPR and EPDM. So can we load more fillers in TPR and submit it? That was my second question. Yes.
So can you repeat your first question? So I'll go to that slide.
Sir, in type B, you have given calcium oxide dose of 7 pHr. Previous one, sir. Type B.
Okay. Yeah.
This slide, yes, sir. So
Yeah.
why so high dose of calcium oxide?
Oh, this is for the microwave curing system is there. So in microwave, that is pressureless curing, we recommend the high doses of Calaxol. If the pressure is there, like normal molding or compression or injection, whatever molding is there, you don't need to use calcium oxide.
So my second question was about filler loading in TPR. Can you highlight on it?
No, sir, you cannot add any filler or anything with TPV. Nothing. As far as I know TPV, I cannot comment on TPR. I don't have any knowledge on TPR or TPE. But Santoprene, you cannot tamper.
So the next question is, how to increase the tear strength of EPDM compound?
Tear strength, you have to reduce your mineral fillers. Still, if you get not getting the satisfactory result, then go for the high molecular weight EPDM. So high molecular weight means, again I'm going back to my first slide probably. So this is the high molecular weight. So if you see, if you switch over the Ziegler-Nattaka system of EPDM, like oil extended EPDM, you will get the excellent tear. So if your molecule is high, then you cannot break it down.
Okay. The next is for UHR, which QR system is better?
UHR, see, any cure system is better. Again, it depends on your application. I'll go to the application. That's why I'm, if your application, what temperature you wanted to use your product. So if you want to use at 70 degree or 125 degree, okay, you can go for the conventional curing system in the UHR. If you want to go for the 150 degree centigrade continuous product use, then you have to select semi-EV or EV system. If you want to go move on, again 175 degree centigrade, your product is going to sustain for the long term duration in use, then you have to choose the peroxide system. And in peroxide, please remember, don't use HbA2, since most of the cases I found the people are mixing up. Once you buy peroxide, they buy coagent, even though in some cases the coagent prices is higher. So from other side, the push is more. Before peroxide come, they buy the coagent. But don't use HbA2 with peroxide system, since exclusion of the oxygen from the system is practically impossible, except salt bath curing system.
So how can we avoid blooming issue in EPDM components?
Ma'am, already I discussed blooming. Please add PEG 2 to 3 pHR maximum, depends on your filler loading. If your filler loading is more, add more PEG. Second, you can add TMQ or TDQ 0.5 to 1 pHR. Still, if you get some problems, you go for the insoluble sulfur.
Okay. And how can we improve green tack in EPDM compound?
We go to my slide. So if you go for the green strength, you are talking, or green tack?
Green tack.
Tack. See, EPDM, if you want more tacky EPDM, you have to go for the more propylene content EPDM. You have to change your polymer. Select the correct polymer. This propylene, if you see here, propylene, it induces the rubber property. And this rubber property is coming, rubber is tacky. If you take the natural rubber, you find tacky. So other component is ethylene. It's not giving you the tack, it gives the strength only. So you select the polymer where the propylene content is higher.
Our next question is how to select specific peroxide coagent.
Very difficult to answer until and unless one can understand your systems, but in how you are doing the curing system with peroxide. Usually we recommend the dry steam. For dry steam, we recommend a trap. One trap should be installed before it enters to your vulcanizer, and that trap usually functions as the entrapment of the moisture and the air. Another is some people, they do a lot of coverage, means direct steam is not coming to the profiles, that sort of thing. Yeah. According to that, we recommend some combination.
Okay. Any brief process to blend silicon with EPDM for electrical insulator application?
EPDM itself is the very good electrical insulator when till 11 kVA. Okay. Above that, I think silicon EPDM one blend is there. Particularly one type of EPDM is available, that is for some producer, and that is, I think, a Royal Edge or like that type of EPDM. That is specific special type of EPDM, not all the EPDM.
How to get rid of unpleasant smell from EPDM curing process?
Rubber will give you smell, man.
Okay, so.
If peroxide you are using, then you will get more smelly. And
okay. And how to avoid bubbles issue while molding in lower hardness compound?
bubble means your polymer means compound Muni is coming low. That's why the bubble is coming. So you have to reduce the oil. Again, few things I can share you of my some experience in the other parts of the world. I visited in the Europe. I extensively worked with them, and even that, you know, I asked them. They don't have any technologies. Whereas in India, I think every rubber industry has at least one technology, and some rubber industry they have few technologies. So we are very fortunate. They say, no, in our country nobody knows rubber. So who is handling rubber? I am a mechanical engineer, or I am some BCom, or I am some degree in the fine arts, and they are fantastically handling. I say, if problem comes, what do you do? Comrade, it's very simple. Either increase oil or decrease oil. Believe me, that's the technology. That's the only technology. If your bubble is coming, means your Muni is more. Please reduce oil in your compound. Nothing to worry. Just reduce it, you will get it. And there is no testing of the compounds taken place globally, except they check only specific gravity. In our industry, we found for every batch they make, they do the Muni checking, rheology checking. They say my specific gravity is fixed. Then my recipe is fixed, and it has been already proven in my system. Then what is the variation? So why shall I check Muni viscometer or rheometer, or nothing is required. Only I need to check for the after a certain interval, maybe 3 days or 7 days. That is my requirement. If my specific gravity, my recipe is fixed, my raw material is standard, can you change the specific gravity of the mixture? No, nobody can change. So just simple make a 1 second test. Maybe a few seconds you can say your compound is okay or not okay. If your specific gravity varies, you adjust the oil. Simple in the compound. Now you can ask me, I can increase the oil. How can I reduce the oil? Okay, if you can increase the oil, you can add the oil in the open mill. If you wanted to reduce the oil, make a one batch which have some reduced oil system and blend it. You can get the same thing.
So how do you increase green strength for a 40 hardness EPDM compound for microwave decuring system?
Particularly, I don't have answer on here since I have not worked on this project.
Okay.
So I have to take time.
How to join two cure ends of EPDM profile?
Sorry, I could not get you. True cure.
Two cured ends of EPDM profile.
I'm not getting true cure. Can you just explain
How
me?
to join two cured ends of EPDM profile?
Joint of the two EPDM profiles, correct?
Yes.
Joining
yes.
of the two ends.
Yes.
Okay, that you can do by the transfer molding method.
Okay.
So there is transfer molding method. So their injection it's a, like a semi-injection transfer molding method is there. There you have to, make the surface of the cured profile. You have to rough it and make the fresh surface, put some sort of adhesive like rubber solution, and you insert some sort of compound in between them. It acts as the joint connector.
How can we identify whether EPDM is sulfur cured or peroxide cured?
You can burn it. If sulfur is there, you can get the black soot. In carbon dioxide, in peroxide cure, there is a carbon-carbon chain. You will get the carbon dioxide, so no black soot will come. Sulfur, you smell, you will get the smell of the sulfur also. If you burn it, you get the smell of matchstick smell like sulfur.
Can we avoid blooming by post curing the product?
EPDM we don't recommend. Silicon people do.
Okay.
1,2-polybutadiene. 1,2-polybutadiene. Is it also used as a co-agent in peroxide curing with EPDM?
Yes, in some cases, yes.
How much dosage it require?
So 1 to 2 pH. In some application, people are using. Yes.
And do they require also this TIC along with 1,2-polybutadiene, or it is not required?
It is not required.
Thank you.
There are a lot of patents are there. If you Google it, you will find very good application of 1,2-polybutadiene as a co-curing. Very specific application.
So how to avoid blackness of gasket during abrasion test?
Darkness
of blackness of gasket during abrasion test.
I don't have any answer, ma'am. Really, I don't.
Okay. How to improve shining in the EPDM products and how to get rid of EPDM stickiness to mold?
Shining, see, any EPDM, if you want to increase the shining, you can increase little bit of calcium carbonate. The calcium carbonate always give you shining on your property. Even that, if you're not getting, if your surface is dull or that type of things, just add some calcium carbonate, 10 to 20 pH. It will, of course, give you the shiny spell.
Hello.
Which grade to use for sponge dense material?
That was the one grade for the. I'll show you that grade. One second.
Sir, you have not specified where to select oil extended or non-oil extended. How to select between these two?
Again, see, if you use oil, see, there is a, as I said, the availability of Ziegler-Natta is going to be a constraint in future, since all the new plants will come with the metallocene. And all the producers are looking to make money. Okay. In metallocene, they produce 100% of their plant capacity. In Ziegler-Natta, they can achieve maximum 70 to 80%. And that's how all this Tramadol is happening. Although the capacity has been added in the last 5 years. But still, if you find the prices is soaring up, supplier is telling, I don't have the EPDM to offer. So it is better to shift. You will get all sort of properties. All has, if instead of oil extended, you can go of the non-oil extended. If you are using oil extended, that means you are sacrificing polymer with respect to the oil buying. There you must go for the high filler loading, since all oil extracted polymer is having very high molecular weight. That's how you have to balance.
Okay.
For me, if you tell me, I can. Hello. See, even with 5 pH, 5 ENB content EPDM, you can make sponge. Okay, and with 11% ENB content, you can make excellent profile solid. There is no foundation.
Sir, can you specify what is the oil used in the oil extended grades?
It's a paraffinic oil.
Any special grade, like any specifications?
I really, I don't have it. Actually, I cannot share it. I have some idea of the one supplier, but again, I cannot share it. Please, my apology.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, is EPDM biocompatible or not?
Yes, sir. Tell me.
How
So
can we?
Yes, sir, please go ahead.
Yeah. How can we increase the wet anti-skid in EPDM rubber?
Anti-skid means you have to select the raw polymer with higher propylene content.
Okay. It will give wet wet in water also.
Yeah, rubber. If you take the natural rubber and if you put water on that, you will never find the skidding properties. Again, there are some sort of fillers are also there. Silica also, precipitated silica, they also give lot of anti-skid properties. That's how it is been used in the nowadays in the tire. All the high performance tire is being made up of precipitated silica. Few years back, nobody is going to use silica in the tire. So, but as a polymer side, yes, you can go from the filler side. You can go to the precipitated silica or that sort of filler.
We have tried, sir, but when you put water in below the EPDM seat, okay, so there then it is not, we are not able to get good anti-skid property. If you put below water below the seat, okay, so that is the, and when if someone want to walk on that, so that time it becomes slippery and it slipped.
It should not be there, since if you see the EPDM is very good application. One of the EPDM is the pond roofing, pond membrane. In the some swimming pool, if you want to make the lamination of the rubber, that is the EPDM, or in the roof seating application. So these are all been designed in consideration to keep in mind for the anti-skid properties. So what I shall suggest you to please check your silent coupling agent, whether you are using some right doses of silent coupling agent, such that your silica and rubber and all the that composites is working perfectly or not.
Okay.
So not only the silica, precipitated silica, not only interact, you have to make it active such that it can be hooked up to your rubber. So for that, you need to use silent coupling agent.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay, I think. Yes.
Saili,
Yes, sir.
close the session.
I would like to invite Ms. Yes, sir. I would request Mr. Mahesh Velu, sir. To
Yes.
kindly give it half a note.
Yeah, Saili. Thank you, Mr. Hussain. We are indeed indebted to you for making such a conducting such a wonderful webinar. The key topics discussed and the in-depth knowledge that you shared with us will surely help all the members who attended the webinar. I hope this information is of help to everybody. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all for
Congrats,
having
sir.
patience to listen me.
So I would request you for a write-up in our upcoming Rubber India issue for an EPDM. So if you would like to.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the webinar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Sahil.
Thank you.
Thank you.